What's going on, people? It's Mr. Dore back again with another podcast. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, at last, we've won a game. We're back in the Champions League spot. I'm happy as Larry. This week's going to be tense, and we've got a lot to talk about at that end of Wolves 1, Nottingham Forest 2. Get involved, people, if you want to have a nice chat with me and the panel. If you're new to our channel, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. And we're going to have a bit of fun and all that about yesterday's game. The game coming up this weekend. It's going to be fun. Right. Oh, God. I don't know where to start, people. Let me start with... Oh, he's changed that. Fucking, you pussy, old Steve. You're such a pussy. Why have you changed it? Why are you...
Ben, you didn't want any trouble, so I thought, I won't put it... I can change it back if you want me to.
People, seriously love to watch. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Up to mischief, but I'm all right. Yeah.
All he people, he had his name. I'm not going to say what he put, but I'm not going to get into Stephen Troll, but people seriously love to see.
I don't care, Ben. I really don't care.
Next up, we've got the VAR master. If no one saw Des at half time, I'm going to put a clip up now, people. Here he is, Des Oldham on VAR duties. So this was Des at half time. No, I think it was June again, wasn't it, Des? I think Steve said. June again.
Second goal, wasn't it? Second goal.
Second goal.
Yeah.
So Des was on VAR duty, and this is him. Why? So people in the chat, did you see Des on VAR duty? Because that was him. So, how are you? How are you, Des? How you've had Wait, first of all, Des, have you took your phone away?
I'm using my phone to talk to you today, so I'm not on Twitter. No.
All right, then just stay clear from that, Des, because Des has been. If you follow Des, I'm not on there. So someone said Des is just having a little laugh. And that's all he was doing. I'm a little laugh and
winding people up because it's that time of the season to be happy.
That's
where we are, not angry.
Exactly. We're happy, but yeah, people show some love to Des and Steve. We are talking about the game before we do. I'm gonna go for the chat as well. Dore is late. Des is on time. Des was on the birth on time, so it's a good thing as well. Kel, evening, guys. Hope you go. Have you covered red cards? Saturday, Dore. Great, Dave. Listen to me, right? Before we do, I'm not even told Des will stay. I scored a fantastic goal on.
No proof, though. Ben, where's the proof for the goal?
A fantastic goal.
There's proof for the red card, but no proof for the goal.
It was a great ball from Steve Barnett. Top corner, top bins. People in the chat, if he was there, Kel, can you talk? But Kel sent me off as well. Kel sent me off for nothing at all. So Kel, you should be ashamed of yourself to send me off for no reason. Little tug, but that's it. What if you don't have a tug in football? Then it is what it is. But yeah, shout out to Kel. He was a fantastic ref, and shout out to a son as well. He was fantastic. It was fantastic in goal. Absolutely fantastic. He helped us in goal, and yeah, shout out to Kel's son. Absolutely fantastic in goal. There's Justin. How you doing, my friend? I hope you're well. Eve, good evening, Mr. Dore. Steve, hope you're well. Champions League still need to be positive. Sit down needs to be fortunate Sunday. I can't wait. And we are going to talk about it as well. And here's Dave. I've heard about Dore's goal 20 bullet. Hey, all right, Dave. I'll phone you afterwards and talk about my goal. So make sure you stay awake because I'll phone you, Dave, about my goal. So, but yeah, and great footage for Des on match day pass. What? Checking on the phone with Des. Was it on match day pass? You seen it, Des?
No, not yet.
That's twice Des has been on match day pass now.
Twat! This is wrong.
He was on one before he was walking over the Trent. I can't remember what game it was, but yeah, he's everywhere.
You know what? I think it's that because the happy Twitter comments. That's what it is, man. All you need to be happy on Twitter, and you get all the love. Look, I'm not ignored your NFC. Where is it? I've had a few tweet exchanges with him. He said he's played ball 3 years ago, of which I said 3 months ago. Des, he had an argument with this guy.
No idea.
What's your name, NFC? What's your name? What's your name? Des will remember. Had a few tweet exchanges with him when we was playing.
I don't remember talking about Barnsley 3 years ago, but there you go.
Off to. But what's your name, Des? If you give me a name, Des will remember. Des likes to argue with everyone on not argue. I don't know what does the ball. Yeah,
I don't argue with people.
Des, you do.
I make my points, and people argue with me.
Yeah, Des argues with people. He argues with people. Did I tell you about how he saved Dave? Which way? Harry, that's it. Shout out to Harry. Fantastic goalkeeper. People will show some love to Harry, man. He was absolutely fantastic in goal, man. Fantastic. Forest for life. No, he said Doncaster etc. But I rate Des. He rates you, Des. See, at least someone does. Someone's got to rate Des.
You was trying to stir the pot again, weren't you, Dore?
I will never do a thing. Will I, Des? No, I'll never do that. But shout out to NFC, man. But yeah, right. Let's talk about yesterday's game, man. We're 2-1 winners. We're back in the fall of Champions League. Europa football. Blah blah blah. You know the drill. Let's start with you. Let's start with you, Des. Because it was tense, but we got it done as well. People get involved as well. But Des, what's your thoughts on the said game?
It was a funny one, wasn't it? It was like, although we scored early, it felt like it was a bit of a slow burner in many ways. It had that end of season feel. That stadium is awful, and it's not just awful at the end of the season.
Worst stadium ever.
It's awful. You just can't get. Like, we were trying our best to get the noise going and get behind the players and things like that, and it must be really hard to hear the fans in there. And I watched it back on TV last night, and you can, so you could hear us. So hopefully that sort of transmitted to the players. But I just felt you could tell from when West Ham walked out, and I know they were carrying kids, and probably all of the players' kids come out with them and things like that. But I said to Ian next to me when they walked out, I said, look at the way they're walking out. They couldn't be bothered. They weren't that asked about the fixture. The season's winding down. They're ready for the holidays. All that thing we know. And all we had to go out there, all we had to do was go out and be professional. It all boiled down to desire yesterday, and who wanted it that bit more. And having watched it back, the first half we were pretty decent. I didn't quite see it. Again, I was on the front row. That's why I kind of got my mug over a lot of things yesterday. But I was on the front row, and you can't see a great deal because you can't seem to see much from anywhere in the ground. But probably one of the better views I had. But I couldn't sort of see it from high up. So when I watched it back on the TV, particularly the first half, we did play really well. We dominated possession, and it's kind of the way I put it across on my match report. But I didn't quite think we was as dominant, apart from the couple of chances West Ham had in the first couple of minutes. They had in the first couple of seconds. We had all the chances and could have gone in 2 or 3, and then it would have made for a much more comfortable second half. Of course, we got the second goal. That was massive in the context of the game. West Ham had a bit of a go from that point. Give us a bit of a fight towards the end. That was a fantastic goal, wasn't it, by Bowen? What a player he is. He's the only one for them that really looked like they wanted it. And he is. He's an absolutely phenomenal player. So he causes a bit of trouble, but in the main, it was just what I said, a fully professional, and comfortable performance by the team that wanted it and needed it more on the day. And that's what it boiled down to. And thankfully, we got that. I've been banging on, as you know, don't jump in, over the weekend about getting 6 from 6 and seeing where we are, and this was the start of it. 3 from 6 so far with 3 to play for. And then we see where we are from there. It's not all over. What I did put on Twitter was Carlisle and Doncaster, and everyone thought I was saying, oh, I was there, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't. What I was saying was, remember when we played Carlisle and Doncaster? Remember when we played Yeovil and we needed Carlisle and Doncaster not to win? When they were better sides than us, and they both failed to win, and we got promoted, which was the start of where we are today. I was trying to add some context, and that's just what we face up to now on Saturday, isn't it? We're in a position where we've got to go and win our football match, and I hope one or two results elsewhere, even though it seems unlikely, go our way. And that's the beauty of football and last day, and you never know. Because if we knew Aston Villa and Manchester City and Newcastle were going to win, we'd all be millionaires because we'd all go and stake everything we got in it. But we don't know that for sure. There is always an element of doubt in a football match. So again, what a season they've given us, and what a point we've got to. We're on the last day of the season. We're playing for Champions League, and just quickly, because I know I've gone on a bit already. We're playing for Champions League. We might get Europa one way or another. If we win, we'll definitely get it. And whatever we get, and I know there's this big thing about blowing it, and we've fallen down, and it's Conference League and qualified. I was like writing something about the season on my own social media yesterday about the away games and how good it's been and whatever. And then I says, and I'm going on a European tour, and the penny dropped. The penny dropped about. It don't matter what European tour I'm going on. It does. I want the best one I can get. But I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm going to Europe next season to watch Forest one way or another. And then I thought, it's not happened for that long. And it's easy for people to say, oh, God, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. 30 years is a generation. It might never happen again. And I know we're going places as a club, and I know the owner's ambitious and he's a winner, and I admire all that. But if we get one season of it and it never happens again, at least we can say we've done it. And that's the incredible thing. So now, yesterday we're better than West Ham. We shown that earlier in the season, and I did fancy us to win on that basis because we were so comfortable and beat them comprehensively. And again, that professionalism's just returned. I felt there was a bit of application missing at the end of the Leicester game, and that professionalism's returned, and we got the right result, and we move on to a massive week and look forward to Sunday.
100%. Before I get still, I'm going to say shout out to Kieran for being a member for 40 bloody months. That's amazing. So Kieran, I do appreciate a lot for being a member. People, if you do want to be a member to the channel, please do. And any super chats, that helps me, like Des just mentioned, any super chat for the European tour, because whatever happens, like I said, Champions League, amazing. Europa, still amazing. Conference, amazing, because it's still going on top. So if people have any support for me or Des or whoever, help me out.
My Wi-Fi.
And Steve's Wi-Fi, yeah. And Steve's Wi-Fi.
I've never even had a coffee door.
Where's the people? If you want to get Des, wait. So on Wednesday, I'm going to London with Des. I can't tell you why. In the future, when I are. If you want me to get Des a coffee, someone give me $4.99 to get to. I can get Des because we're in London and it's London prices. So
Jesus Christ.
So people, $4.99 for coffee because we know it's not going to be damn cheap. So anyone donations towards our trip on Wednesday, please do. Steve, what's your thoughts on the game? Like, when you saw the team, Steve, what was your first thoughts?
We're really surprised, to be honest, Ben. Again, I see there's a lot of debate still on social media about Dominguez playing that role. We play with no width on that side, but again, I'm sure we'll get to individual players. But I thought he was outstanding yesterday. The amount of grass he covered was unreal. I thought he stepped up, but yeah, Morato obviously coming back in was a big plus. I thought it's always one of them things you always say in football, and like, if we had him last week against Leicester, and it's always ifs, if he had played. It just adds another dimension to the backline, and either way he comes out with the ball, and it's just added a bit of quality to the team. Hudson-Odoi back on the bench was an added bonus. But can I just touch on something like Des just said about a generation, right? And I just put the caption up. Where were you in 2005, right? Which is 20 years ago. We hit an all-time low for this club. We went to League One. 20 years on now, we're going on a European tour. And it's just mad to think that some fans need to realise that, where we've come from and where we are now, and people are mourning, oh, we get Conference League. We're on a European tour. This is unreal. Like, when you look at the beginning of the season and you've seen Chelsea last game, if you had said to each one of us on this channel, oh, we'd be playing Chelsea for a Champions League spot, we would just laughed. Looking at that fixture, we'd have thought Chelsea's going for even the title, and would we be fighting for relegation? Would we just mid-table? We're going for the Champions League spot. What an unreal position to be in. And yesterday was a massive step forward. I think we'll get to our predictions for the weekend later on, but I think yesterday the Forest players really set their stall out. I think, like Dad said, professional performance. I thought West Ham were boring, poor. Was it Carragher? Yeah, Carragher was saying on there. The fans didn't look angry; they just looked bored. And you guys were there live watching it. I thought, they played into our hands well. I did like. I don't know if you two have seen Danny Murphy's analysis of the game on Match of the Day 2. I thought it was a really well done job he done on the analysis, and he said about the formation of Forest, the way we set up, and the way Nuno set us up. I thought, it's really good actually. Fair play to him. He done a really good analysis, and he said something that's. I've been thinking this a while about Nuno. Is once he gets it right, he gets it right, and he's had it more right than wrong this season. And yesterday, he had a spot on tactics, spot on. I thought again, Nico and Aina, especially Nico, outstanding performance again. Milenkovic, outstanding. Well, what can I say? Outstanding performance. They were saying earlier on the lead up to the Brighton Liverpool game, was that one of the best defensive performances of the season? Milenkovic could be. He's had some really outstanding games this year, hasn't he, Milenkovic? The midfield work, yes. It just, Ben, I find when we get it right, we get it right. And I think that's what Danny Murphy is saying. I think the balance was right. Yes, you can say Dominguez isn't a winger, which he isn't. But when it pays off, it pays off. And I thought West Ham just played in grands. And I mean, when's the last time we were gifted a goal like that first goal? Yeah. It's about time we had a bit of a rub of the green like that, It's usually we give soft goals away or something happens the other end of the pitch. But yeah, happy Ben. It takes us nicely into a small game now against Chelsea.
Yeah. And on a question about, like I said, Alan, Des, get your money out because Alan says a flat white is £10. So Des, get your pennies out. So people, if you're not donating any money for me to get Des a coffee or whatever, just it'll be nice. London's not cheap, so. But yeah, Des, what do you drink? Just so I know.
Latte.
Fuck's sake, man. People, can you send me 25 quid, please? Alan, how much is a latte? How much? What the hell? Cheaper range. I paid what? You're mad. £25. Shout out to Alan and from Freddie, man. We'll see you Wednesday as well. Right. The one I'll say about to Des, because I've not seen Des for a while, and what on here? And we've got to talk about Sangare, man, because he's played 3 games. And me personally, and people in the chat, get involved. If you agree or disagree with Des, just say it. What's your thoughts on Sangare for the last 3 games? Because I personally feel he's done okay. But what's your thoughts as well?
Look, as I've always said, with Sangare, there's definitely a player in there, isn't there? We're all wanting this player to come out. Look, I'm not going to get overexcited on 3 games. And don't forget, one of them was Leicester. So let's just be careful about how good this player's done. Yes, do you know what? When he gets the ball and he moves it quickly, that's exactly what we want from him. He does tend to face the opposition's goal a lot more than the likes of Yates and one or two others when he's in that position. So when he gets that ball and he shapes his body and gets it out to the fullback, brilliant. If he did that all day, I'd be happy for him to be in the team. He's done really well in possession since he's been back in the team. I do worry still about the position and the way we are when we haven't got the ball and where he picks up his positions. So it's all right going, oh, well, we beat West Ham, Sangare, we're brilliant. I'm not taking anything away from him for yesterday. I think it was probably better. his better performance since he's been back in the team. But again, there's just, without sounding critical, there's lots to work on there. But if he keeps improving and keeps sort of getting back to the play we thought we had, then you never know. I think the summer's going to be massive, because I think the club will make a bit of a decision on him. You know, we now realise we've made a huge step one way or another, you know, wherever we're going to get. And I think it'll be telling if they feel they need to improve that position. And I'd be very, very surprised, personally, if they didn't feel they needed to improve. And it's not just about Sangare. It's about Yates. It's about Nico Dominguez. I totally agree with Steve. Absolutely brilliant and never lets us down. You know, yesterday he was all over the pitch. But it's taking it's adapting Forest game to be able to compete more in the bigger games. That's what's let us down. Look, it's not a bottle job, as people have been going on over the last 6 or 7 games. It's playing big teams and coming out the wrong side of it, most of it. You know, whether it was Newcastle away or Villa away, or, you know, whatever big game we've had where we nicked some results earlier in the season, because not through luck, because we played brilliant. Nuno got the tactics right, a little bit of luck at times. All of a sudden now we've come out the wrong side of them because we play a defensive, negative type football. That I'm not moaning about that. That's fine. But for Forest to improve as a team, to start competing in Europe and in cup competitions for longer, they need to adapt the game to control football matches a lot more. Yesterday we did it against a very, very poor West Ham. You know, against Tottenham in the first half, a very, very poor Tottenham, we controlled the game. Leicester, I felt we controlled it and shot ourselves in the foot. You know, but it's when you come to those teams like Fulham away, you know, like Bournemouth away, the ones where you think win here and it's massive, and you come out the wrong side of it and it's a bit of an awakening, because you think, well, we're above them, we can compete at home and all these kind of things. But we do tend to struggle against those teams. And again, most of that comes from coming through the middle. I see we're linked with the guy from Fulham. I like him a lot. I can't think of his name at the minute. The Brazilian guy.
Oh, Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira, brilliant player, and I'm not sure he's.
Alan, can I say something? Alan, he's coming to Forest. Alan, just thought I'd tell you that. Sorry, Des.
But again, it just comes back to what we're saying about Sangare, doesn't it? You know, he's done well. I'll give him. I'd never criticise him if unnecessarily. I just don't think he's been a success to the point we've seen of late, and people jumped on that because they wanted to have a go at the fact I said it. That his selection over the last few months speaks for itself. But when we've needed to make a change, when Nuno's felt he's needed something a little bit different because it weren't working, he's thrown him in there and he's done a job. You know, he's got the ball moving forward, like I say, particularly against West Ham, you know, and he has got that sort of angled pass on him to get it round to Aina, particularly on that side, you know, to sort of set him free. And he often plays that long pass out that way as well, like a straight long pass. And that's what Forest don't have in midfield, unless Morgan Gibbs-White drops right back in and he's doing that job. And this is what we need. We need Sangare doing that job so Gibbs-White can be up there. Proved yesterday, you know, in the when Morgan Gibbs-White is on the edge of the box, on the edge of the press, rather than sat in the position Sangare is, because we've got no one dynamic back there. And again, it's not about picking favourites or having a go at people. It's just about seeing the actual hard evidence on a football pitch. And I think we've got to take a lot of we've got to take a lot of hope from his performances, because we still want that £35 million player to come and shine and rip the league apart. But personally, I don't think it's the be all and end all, and I think we could be better in possession and better out of possession. Sorry, because again in midfield, it's when we've got run over in midfield, and it's not Sangare's fault. It's been in other games, mainly Bournemouth, Newcastle. When we've got run over in 10 minutes, it's all come through the middle. You know, and that's because we haven't got the strength of depth to throw players in there and do a really, really top job. And I always look at that position as somewhere I'd improve. I keep banging on about number 6, blah blah blah. You know,
Everyone
I
does,
know
Des.
I'm like
Everyone
a stuck
does.
record because it's controlling football matches. That's what wins stuff. You know, it's just controlling it, and the higher up you go, and the more you want to compete. Look, we love having 15% possession and winning the game. It's brilliant when you do it. You know, it's top shithousery. But you'll do it a lot more with more possession. And I know, like, people say, well, whatever. Do you know, you will. Because teams that dominate the football, like Manchester City and Liverpool and whoever, generally win football matches. And I think the more we improve, the more we get better players, you know. And again, Sangare is pushing other players. It's going to improve everything around him and going to make us think about who we look for next. But I think, yeah, over the last few games, he's done really well. I'm not. I was pragmatic about these things, and I don't give people just 3 games, good or bad. I won't get excited, and I won't think I'm not quite in the same camp as I was earlier in the season when I thought he was a million miles off the pace. So yeah, really sort of promising signs. Cautiously
Fair comment.
optimistic is a term we've used quite a lot on this show.
Yeah, fair comment. Like I said, I mentioned about Sangare. Like he's played. How many games has he played? 6 games, hasn't he? This season. Yeah, he's had his injury, and when he come back with Danilo, he didn't really. People expected him to get into the team, and you got to fight for it. Like you see, Domenge's been fantastic. Ryan Yates has been fantastic, and now Sangare's got his chance. He took his 3 games, and he's slowly getting there. But we're not going to judge on this next game against Chelsea. That if he does start, and we hope he does another good performance. But listen, we've got to judge it on the whole season. But maybe we don't know. It could be up for us.
I think it just quickly though. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Nuno picks against Chelsea, because they've got runners for midfield. You know, they've got and they've got Palmer obviously, who's going to run in between the lines, and that's where we've got to get that position right. So I'd be really interested to see which way he goes. If he goes with Sangare, shows a lot of faith from Nuno. I think I'd probably expect him to go with Yates, because of the shitty stuff he's got to go and do in there, because they are going to have a lot of the ball in midfield. Caicedo, and you know, he's on top of his game all of a sudden, and all those kind of things. So I think Sunday will say a lot about where Nuno is with Sangare.
Definitely. Make sure everyone like and subscribe, and in effect, please everyone follow Des on Instagram as well. What's Des Forever? What's the one Instagram post?
While I've ever travelled, I put all my football bits on there.
Yeah, make sure everyone follows Des as well. Steve's not on Instagram yet. I have told him, but it seems he's not listening at all. So, Stakey, can you please get on there?
Not reached Wales yet.
As well. Right, there's another discussion because, and I disagree with it all, and people might disagree with me. Morato, because we see Milo Milkovic, they're the number 1 choices, but every time he comes on, and it was his fault for the goal because he shouldn't have headed it right in the middle with Bowen. Steve, and people in the chat as well, do you rate Morato? Yes or no? We'll get Des' review in a minute, but what's your thoughts on Morato, Steve? Because he's getting criticised a lot, and I just don't think if he was a top player, he'll get in front of or Milikovic, but because he's third choice, he's the easiest target. Like, what's your thoughts? And people get involved as well. What's your thoughts about it? Like, I think it's unfair, but Steve, what do you think?
I think he has been poor. You know, the game against Leicester, the cameo he made yesterday, he's at fault of the goal. But I think what he's up against, Ben, are two top class defenders, and I think he's living in their shadow. I think, you know, he was never going to break that force field to get into the team. When we signed him, we thought, you know, who is this guy? Is he any good? But then he came in, and it was a running thing for a while, wasn't it? That when he came on late in the game, we would slow the game up and we wouldn't concede because he just seemed like a brick wall. But it seems like, I don't know if it's a confidence thing. Is it maybe a more of a personal thing going on? Does he want to move back abroad? Does he want to stay? It could be just like I said, it could be a confidence thing. I mean, he is taking a lot of stick online, but again, each one of our players have gone through sticky spells, haven't they, Ben? I mean, there was a time when Alanga was taking stick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was dropped out the side. And he had to fight his way back in. I mean, you could probably count on one hand the amount of players who haven't really taken that level of stick this year. Probably each one player has at some point. You know, even Matt Sells has dropped the odd clanger. But as far as Morato, come back to your main question, I mean, is a player in there? He obviously is not as quick as Murillo. He don't think he reads well. I'm saying he did cut out a few balls yesterday. He did read the game yesterday. He did make a few interceptions, but yeah, Ben, there's a player in there. But for a starter, I personally would have brought Bolly on yesterday, maybe.
This
but
is
I knew
need to know because that's the thing.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you know. But again, it goes back to that thing about we should put him in, and you know, it's Morato low in confidence, but Nuno knows best. So Nuno clearly has faith in Morato. Does Morato suit more of a back three than he does in a back two or a back four, I should say? So to me, Ben, it just looks like his body language seems a bit off as well. I mean, if you look at the goal that Bowen scored, he just looked deflated. He looked a bit like, oh God, it's my fault. It was just like the whole word on his shoulders. You know what I mean? It was a poor header. Just great finish by Bowen, mind. You know, great technique. That's not Morato's fault. But it's to answer your question, Ben, is the played in there. But for me, I think we'll go out and look for another centre half next season. You know, Bolly's moving on. The boy we signed from Reading will probably be loaned back out. I mean, it's mad, right, Bella? Before we go on to the next topic, it's mad to think how many players we're going to have in the summer now back in the camp. How many players we've got on loan to come back in? I mean, we got the boy, we got the centre half, and we Como, is it?
Como,
yeah.
Como from Olympiacos. Yeah, he's a left foot centre back as well.
Yeah. So where do we stand with that? I mean, does Zach Abbott get a run in the team next year? Does he become a squad player because of Europe now? Does he? Does he become? Yeah. Do we fall into a Chelsea thing now where, you know, with a European adventure, you need a decent sized squad? I mean, Nuno does like a small squad, but we can't afford that in Europe. We need to stretch that number a bit. So, you know, we need bodies really because we get injuries on a Thursday. So we're playing Europa. It's going to affect our league. So this is a whole new ball game for us. We haven't had this for a long time, this experience in Europe. So does Zach Abbott get a run in the squad? Does he get pushed? I mean, he's been promoted out to the under-19s, England. So this could be a chance. Morato, does he stay and does he go then? So it's an interesting one in that position. I don't know what Dez's take is on that.
People in the chat, what do you think on Morato? Yes or no? Do you think we should keep him next season?
I would personally keep him.
Me personally, yeah. For a third choice, maybe when we do get European football, wherever we'll be in, we are going to get better players. I hope. But for me,
these Ben, I will give Nuno an option to if he wants to rest Murillo for say a weekend game, he can put Morato into you know what I mean. You need that flexibility because there will be a lot of games next season.
What's your thoughts, Des, on it before we move on?
I think this whole thing about Morato's at fault for everything is a nonsense. I think it's absolute nonsense. I think there has been a few shaky moments. You know, it's hard coming into Premier League games. Again, a bit similar with Sangare. I think he's not Murillo and Milenkovic. Not many players are. You know, somebody's got to be sat behind them waiting for opportunities or coming into games late when Forest are under pressure, when Forest haven't been playing particularly well with Murillo and Milenkovic. You know, it's really hard sometimes. So, again, I'm not saying he's been brilliant, like conversely to Sangare, but I don't think he's been too bad either. You know, the Leicester goal was not his fault. I know he gets turned inside out, but Milenkovic has been turned inside out like that. When you're faced one-on-one, If you don't turn him, he shoots in the other side of the goal and scores anyway. It was just the way he did what he did. The goal, the fault for the goal was two players colliding, Aina and someone else colliding,
Yeah.
and then
Very
the
good.
ball spinning back to him. And it's easy to go, oh, Morata's on the pitch now. You know, it's nonsense. And yesterday, look, yes, it was his header that fell at Bowen's feet. But 9 times out of 10, Bowen would have tried to bring that down and he kicked it right up in the sky. He pulled it down and it was a phenomenal goal. You know, and yeah, you've got to legislate for the fact that might happen. So it is in some way that one is Morata's fault. But again, you look at the pass from Paqueta. You know, I watched it closely again when I was watching it on TV, and it's a phenomenal pass that puts him right on the back foot. You know, he's got no right to make the pass, Paqueta, but there's no midfielder closing him down. You know, Sangare, not Dominguez won't. Maybe
Sangare were on the pitch then.
all of
Sangare
them,
was off,
any of
wasn't
them who was in there at that time. No one's closing Paqueta down that late in a game, and all of a sudden he dinks it so far back that he's stretching to head it. Yes, he has to do better when it gets there, but he tries to head it away and it falls at his feet, and it's a phenomenal finish. So I just think it's like everything right now. Everything's an overreaction, isn't it? You know, there's no
Yeah.
need to go berating your own players all the time. I remember people having a go about Felipe in the early days. You know, what have we signed here? Who is this player? It was phenomenal. You know, and like Steve said, Alanga, you know, people having a go at him. I didn't have a go at him, but I sort of said he was the one out of form early in the season. And what happens is they turn it around, don't they? What about the Morato from Everton away? You know, when he started the game, when he was in the game.
Exactly.
I'm
Brentford.
And I know it's different
Brentford,
opposition and whatever. Luton, you know, when he picked that reserve team, and this guy was obviously the class act on the field. You know, you could see it. He was the most experienced of the reserve team he'd picked. And the guy was the class act on the field, and he stood head and shoulders. Yes, it's Luton, and of course he should do in many ways, but you could see that quality, and I think it's just so easy. Look, Forest are built on a strong defense, a solid, strong, consistent defense. You know, when they've got those four, the four across the back as we know it, and Sells in goal, I'm confident we can get something out of a football game. When one of them is missing, I'm frightened because we haven't got the backup. You know, we lose shape, we lose a certain sort of dynamic element to us. And normally when Morato plays, it's instead of Murillo. You know, no one's fault that it's Murillo's injured or whatever. You know, and Murillo's got that dynamic where he brings the ball out from the back. You know, he's 50-yard passes across the pitch. So you're losing something straight away, no matter how Morata plays, because you're losing that sort of attack. Like sort of attack is the best form of defense kind of attitude, you know, with Murillo. So you lose it. So people are on his case. You know, there's no need. It's not that bad. You know, I think everybody at the club's probably confident in it. And I think when I think back to when they signed him and knowing the way Nuno
I was
had played,
excited. I was.
yeah, but when knowing the way Nuno played at Wolves with a three at the back, and the fact Aina is a bombing on player and Nico can be that player as well, you probably expected him to start so many more games. It was just that Milenkovic and Murillo just formed this partnership from day one, and sometimes that happens. And then I get the impression all the plans then went out the window, you know, and Nuno thought this is what I go with. We've got a back forward, you know. It took him some time to set on Nico again, who's been fantastic, and there was people questioning him, you know, at points. But it's not football, is it? You get a run in the team, you know. You play. It's like the start of the season. Everyone's a bit rusty. Yesterday, right, we're all raving about Milenkovic and how good he is. If Suchek had scored that header in the first minute, whose fault would that have been?
Yeah.
Milenkovic completely mistimed his header. He'd never normally see it. So I'm not trying to be hard on him, but it was a shock because that's what he did. He completely mistimed it and he ran past Souček and he had a clear header at goal and probably should have scored because of his ability with his head. And then who do you put the blame on? It's that old thing, isn't it? We don't need to go looking for players. You know, we don't need to go looking. Yes, it's frustrating when it happens week on week, but I don't think we need to sort of pin things. It's the old Ryan Yates thing, isn't it? Everything's Yates' fault.
Well, I said exactly the same. It's like Ryan. It's like everyone when Ryan Yates has a bad game, we just go turn bricks on him and same with Morato. Same with Morato, but
Look at this way, right? Everton at home, Murillo, mistake. Aina, Brentford home, mistake. Milenkovic, Aina, mistake against Leicester. I mean, the best players are prone to mistakes. It's just what you're saying, lads, is the fans like to pinpoint certain players, like a Yates, like a Morato, who they find they're easier targets. When we all love Milenkovic, we all love Aina, we all love Murillo, but each player have got a mistake in them. That's what makes them human. That's what makes them footballers. I mean, Murillo took some stick after the Everton game, but we all still love him. But just feels like what you're basically saying is that some fans feel they can just go straight on like Morato because he's not one of our favourites, so to speak. But you know, every player should be up for, every player should be up. Sorry, Ben. Every player should be up for criticism, no matter how much you love him.
I don't know if you like. Didn't someone say because Muller had a bad game that he deserves a slap? I think you know that. Well, people in the chat will know that.
Can I just say one thing, right? You know the Everton game. Go back to that. You know that mistake he made. He tried to, if I remember right, the ball came across to him. He tried to kind of tuck in and take it around the player. Morato may not have done that. Morato might just put his foot through the ball. That's the difference in what you get, isn't it? Like Morato's a no nonsense kind of, you know, foot through the ball, clear it. Murillo's that ball player where he tried to play out, he got caught. We lost 1-0. That's the thing. It happens. It just, and like you go back to the Ryan Yates thing. I mean, he does one mistake and he gets completely destroyed for it. I've seen Anderson do mistakes. I've seen Gibbs-White have stinkers. All players have. It's the way football is, and each player.
That's the point, isn't it? That like everybody has been saying over the last couple of weeks. Gibbs-White don't give a shit. Nonsense. You know,
I know.
It's this, and what I'm getting to. I don't need to talk too much about Gibbs-White and his attitude. His attitude.
That was next, Des, to you. That was next towards you, Des. But yeah, carry on.
That was what. Sorry.
That I was talking about. I was about to talk Gibbs-White to you about next.
Come on, then ask your question.
Wait. Before we do, because Kate says Des spotted on match day pass again. Yes, we know Des is on. Kate, everyone keeps saying it. Yeah, please don't watch it if Des is on there. But shout out to Kate as well. Shout out to Jackson. I've got a super chat. Thanks for the content. Keep it up. Thank you for £5. That goes towards Des's coffee. So Lenny, thank you for the £5. If anyone wants to do any donations towards Des to get me no, I'm not going to get him a Costa. That's something different. But anyone wants to donate towards,
I won't go there with you.
I don't go with me, Des. Fuck, Des, shut up. Yes, if anyone wants to do donations, please do. Where else is I'm going to look for it? Got the man himself, David. How you doing, David? I hope you all. I didn't speak to you before the Chelsea game. Hey, fellas, just waking up and eating breakfast. Great to you all. If we win, we're about 50-50 for Champions League. We're not licked yet. Exactly. Be positive. We're not there yet. Not there yet, people. So, close. But we will talk at the end of the show as well. And give me a super chat. Shout out. Thank you for £7. How much is that? How much is that? Is that $7.99 Aussie dollars? What's that? $4.99? Dave, what's that in English? I don't know. Is that can that get me a coffee for Des? Just shut him up. People in the chat, I don't know how much it is. I'm not Aussie. David, come in English. How much is it? Kay, is Kay there, Des? Kay must know.
No.
Oh, unbelievable. What? Steve.
Oh.
Is Mrs. there? She must know how much it is.
What was it? What was the price again?
$7.99. I don't know how much it is. £4. That's it. Yes. Justin saved my life. Justin, yeah, that's it. Justin, thank you. $4.99. That doesn't get me a coffee. I'm going London. Listen, I'm going London. I'm not going St. Anne's, people. Come on. Help me out. Help me out.
For a paper cut.
It's £100 now. If you want to send me £100, David, you can please do. David, if Ryan Yates scores the win against Chelsea, you can send me that on my channel for Yatesy to score his 5th goal. Right, we need to move on. Right, Gibbs-White, Des. I want to talk about Gibbs-White because all this link with Man City, blah blah blah. He scored his goal. It was an easy goal, but come on, Des, man. What's your thoughts on Gibbs-White, man? Do you think people as well get involved, man? Like Gibbs-White, it's a topic that we need to talk about. But Des, talk about the Gibbs-White, man. One, he took his goal great, but do you feel he's feeling the pressure with the link? I think he deservedly for what he's done for the season. But what's your thoughts, Des, on the man himself, Gibbs-White?
Look, he's our best player. It's the be all and end all of everything. He is our best player. He's our talisman. He's the one who makes it all happen. You know, he plays in various positions to like within the midfield and things like that. He can do different jobs. You know, people have been questioning. I was getting on there about people questioning his attitude and saying what a load of nonsense. You know, he can't help being linked with other clubs. I don't think anybody in the last few years. Look, he came with that massive fee, you know, which he's obviously people have always wanted him to justify. And I don't think anybody has tried harder for Forest over the last couple of years. Behind the owner, I think he's the biggest winner at the football club. You know, he's the one who wants it to happen. I think he loves the club. But then you do well, you know, it's a price of success. People get frustrated when they see Fabrizio Romano tweeting this or Simon
Don't get me
Jordan
started on
saying
him.
that,
Don't get me started on him.
or yeah. But the thing is, Dore, that's the cost of success.
I know.
If you're going to do well in the Premier League, your players are going to be linked to the top clubs. Morgan Gibbs-White's the top player. A few weeks ago, everyone's crying because he's not in the England team. I said at the time I couldn't care about that. I love Gibbs-White. I want him to be a success, but I don't want him in the England team. I don't want Pep ironing him up at Wembley, you know, and all these things because he's that good a player. He's absolutely phenomenal. When he ticks, Forest tick. It's that simple. You know, there's people say he don't have great games and he don't do this and whatever. He don't always have to, but he does have great games, you know, from start to finish. But he also has cameo appearances where he changes the game like that. You know, I think back to the Man United game, you know, and Brighton sticks in my head. I know he got sent off, but the way he kind of went back into that deeper role and he got stuck in, you know, but he's always the main source of goals, you know. I've said this many times on this show, whether it were Brennan Johnson, Tyro, Chris Wood, you know, Ilanga, he forms this partnership where he's on the same wavelengths. He drops into that hole, and with Tyro, it used to be the ball around the side. With Johnson, it used to be a slide pass from an angle, you know, and he finds a way to adapt. Chris Wood, it's often looping that ball over the top. You know, he finds a way to play with a partner. And that's what football's all about. It's about partnerships and building relationships on the pitch. And some players are just not very good at doing it. And this guy, this is why teams are linked with him. Because of his attitude, what he does lack at times, perhaps compared to a Jude Bellingham, who's a big physical specimen, you know, who's one of the best players in the world. Why people sort of don't look at him in that sense is a disservice because his attitude is right. You know, he wants to win. I've always sort of bemoaned Forest not playing him further up the pitch. This all comes back to Sangare and number 6 and Yates and all those kind of things. But you get him up the pitch, you get him in positions, you know, to affect the game. Yesterday, when that ball falls to him, yes, it's a very, very scoreable goal. But you wouldn't want anyone else in that position. You know, even, and I know Wood stuck a lot of goals away, but to be confident, the one player you want on that ball is him. And I think that we put a lot of blind faith in him, and he gets taken for granted a lot now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he feeds off some of the frustration that comes out of the fans, because that's the type of guy he is. There's a bit of a there's a bit of fire in there, isn't there? And that's what you want from your players. A bit somebody who really wants to do well. I think there was that video doing doing the rounds last week where he was at the golf club, obviously, wasn't he? And he was being asked if he were playing for Forest.
Yeah.
We know the guy who did that.
Yeah, we know the guy. We know the guy.
And he was just embarrassed by it, wasn't he? He didn't say no, but that doesn't mean he's leaving. He says he didn't know. But again, we live in the modern day, don't we? Footballers know where they're going 18 months before. They know they're having a move after the next move. This is how it kind of works. It's like careers are panned out for them. Jude Bellingham goes to Dortmund to go to Real Madrid in a couple of years, that kind of thing. So again, nothing's going to change because Forest are in a crap position this week, or because Fab's tweeted something else. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And again, it's this really reactionary stuff within football fans now, where it don't go well for 5 minutes and everybody's crowing. And you referred to that, what someone said about Murillo a couple of weeks ago. Now Morata's on the other end of it. And the problem is you've got all these Billy Bunters predicting Forest are going to finish Champions League and they're going to win FA Cups and they're going to do this. Nobody really believed it. Nobody really believed any of that. Well, no matter what they say it because if it happens, they look really good at the end of it. They look like the super fan. That kind of thing. You always had all the faith. Right? The reality is, it's nonsense. Forest shouldn't be where they are. So whatever they achieve and whatever these players have achieved, they deserve every bit of recognition and every bit of credit they're given, because we should never be in this position. Nobody thought we'd be. I said 17th, and that wasn't negative. I just thought we were good enough to stay up beyond the three that I knew were going down. Because that's the way football's gone. But when it comes to people like Gibbs-White, for him to get some of the, like, anybody ever to say, oh, well, he's not playing well, he's not doing this. What about when he's carried us through football matches? What people don't understand with football and attacking players in particular, defenders are like the back four, that consistency I talk about, it's always there. Attacking players probably actually play, even the top players probably only play out their skin one game in 3. Average players probably play out their skin one game in 6 and win a game every 6 games. And when you get a player, remember back to the like the Jamie Vardy thing where he scored goal after goal after goal after goal. Those things are so rare. When you score 8, 9 games in a row, or you assist. And we went through a bit of a purple patch, didn't we? Where we played Brentford and Villa and Man United and Everton. That bit in the middle of the season, which basically was a bit of a false representation of the rest of the season. Gibbs-White was at the top of his form. He was carrying the team along. We were winning, and everyone then goes, "Well, this is what we expect." Good, expectations lift, but I think once expectations lift, the realism drops. And the sense of reality, and to start chipping away at this guy. Let's face it, he's carried us. He's probably kept us in the league. For a couple of seasons, and then goes on and done what he's done this year. I just no, I'm not having it. It's complete nonsense. And I know I'm a fan, and I know I was before he come. I still think that I've said all this, and I'll blow smoke up his backside till midnight if I could. But I still think there's more to come, and that's where I think people's frustration comes out. But that don't mean to say he's been poor. I do think there's more to come, but I think that's on Forest, not on Morgan Gibbs-White. I think that's on Nuno and recruitment, not on Gibbs-White, because if they get the rest of it right, if they manage to keep him and they manage to keep the players around him that make him good as well. Do you know, there's people helping him as much as he helps others. The likes of Ilanga and Hudson-Odoi, you know, when they all start linking up, if they manage to do that and they manage to get that midfield right, because there is times when he has to play all of that on his own, and I think until they sort that out, we're not actually getting. And this is why I think, do you know what? If City came calling, everyone automatically says, "Well, don't be a Jack Grealish," but there's a role coming up. We know that. You know, there's a superstar leaving. There's a role going to be there at 10. You know, and think of the amount of possession and time on the football he's going to get. And again, you know, he's not a Forest fan at the end of the day. And Marinakis might want 120 million quid in the bank to go and, you know, you've just got to be realistic about this. So again, let's just see how that one goes. But until it does, I don't think any Forest fan should be questioning his attitude or his ability one iota.
Oh, I was going to Alan. What Alan said, we can have Pierre. We'll take Gibbs-White. Premier player. He always gets 100% whenever he watches Forest play. He walks in the 18 and 20 Premier League starting lineup 100%. 100%. Like I said,
just one thing on Gibbs-White. Whenever we're on television, right, listen to what the pundits say. You know, I know they don't see him every week, and I'm a bit critical of the fact they don't see everything that goes on. But every time he's on the television, he gets man of the match. Because we've started taking we started taking him for granted a little bit and thinking, oh yeah, well, you know, he played all right, but Nico played well, or Nico Dominguez did a lot of running. This guy changes things, doesn't he?
100%. Bloody hell, it's been a good show so far. We've got nearly an hour, so I'm trying to get everything in because we've got work in the morning, as you know. People in the chat, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll ask Des and Steve who's the man of the match. So please go in the chat if you can. Who's your man of the match yesterday as well? We are going to try and make it quick about Champions League, Europa Conference, blah blah blah. Or we'll get through that as well. So please do hit the like button if you can. Steve, who's your man of the match yesterday?
I've been thinking about it. I knew you'd going to ask me today, so I got it down to about 3 or 4 players.
Yeah.
It's Dominguez, Nico, Gibbs-White, or the big man at the back, the big Serb. I got to go with the big Serb, Milinkovic. What a performance! Yes, Des did cherry pick one instant out with a header. That was his mistake, but that was early on the game. Probably get into the feel of the game, but I think for his performance, reading of the game, the way he kind of flicked off. Who's that little player trying to square up to him? Alcaraz, right?
Oh, I loved it when
I love it, Ben.
What are you doing?
Oh yeah, I just love the fact anything kicks off, he's just in there and he just towers over everyone. He's a freshman. He's just like our security guard, isn't he? You know, when it all kicked off at Stamford Bridge with Nico.
I love that. I love that as well.
Which was straight in there, and even Morato is just like our bodyguard, really. He's like a big, massive skinhead who just gets stuck in and don't care. I just love that attitude. For me, Milinkovic, and I thought, bar the goal they scored, I thought, yeah, he just controlled the game. I think from the back, I think he's outstanding. And like I said, that's a shout out as well to Dominguez, Nico, and Gibbs-White as well. Gibbs-White was different gravy I agree with Des. First half, he was different gravy. It was he'd done a spin and turn around the halfway line.
Oh yes,
he kind of turned someone.
He spin two of them. That was amazing.
And he played him. Yeah, unreal too. And he spun it out to Nico or Ilanga out in the wing, I think it was. Oh, yeah, unbelievable skill.
He spun it, gave it to Dominguez, and then Nico Williams got it. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah. That was.
I thought Dominguez covered all the blades of grass, and again, Nico just does what he does and just plays with his heart and his sleeve. But again, all the other players averaging a 7 as well, Ben. No one really had a bad game.
That's true. Des?
Well, if I weren't going to contradict myself, I'd go with Gibbs-White after what I just said, wouldn't I? But because we do take him a little bit for granted and because we know what he's capable of, and he did play really well. But for me, I can't get Nico Dominguez out of my head yesterday. And again, times in midfield, out of possession, and chasing things down, and sort of all over the pitch, helping sort of Gibbs-White and Wood at the top of the press, and then getting back into sort of wide positions, covering back. I think he's hit a bit of a purple patch again. He'd lost it for a couple of weeks. He played really well sort of mid-season, and then he was the one getting slated. All of a sudden, he weren't good enough, But I thought he was excellent in a game which at times was patchy. Let's be honest, we weren't at a fluent best. I think it was what his endeavour and his commitment to the cause that really sort of drove us forward and made a real difference. But I tell you what, again, another player we might be taking for granted in all this is Matt Sells. He had to make a couple of important saves, and perhaps not 3 or 4 of his best, but 3 or 4 that he had to make. Particularly the one at the end for me where the player got a 3-1 on a header in the 15th minute of injury time. And he puts his hands up pretty straightforward, but that could easily have gone through his arms or gone in. A little bit of concentration missing. So again, a shout out for Matt Sells in what's been a fantastic season for him as well.
100%. I've got to say, Milivojevic was always saying Milivojevic, but Dominguez for me, I thought he was fantastic.
To back up you two as well, I got to say, rewatching the highlights back and again the analysis of Danny Murphy, he highlights Dominguez and the amount of mopping up he done yesterday. The cleaning up at the back, just getting around the back. It was an instant where they had a chance and he kind of made best way to describe it. He kind of mopped up basically. He was there to clean up, fill in the position, just to bring the ball out. It's just them little things goes unnoticed on the pitch. Them reading of the game, and once you watch once these pundits analysis the game, you start realizing, oh yeah, these like a Dominguez does a lot off the ball, which, like Des said, we take for granted really. And yes, yeah.
Before I want to mention to Des and people in the chat. When the substitutions, when he brought on Danilo, who was it? He brought on Danilo. Who's the first ones he brought on? Danilo, Morato, and who was the other one? Danilo, Morato, and Hudson-Odoi. Was Hudson-Odoi on it?
Hudson-Odoi, yeah.
Do you feel, like we're always questioning substitutions? I feel he got the subs the wrong way around. I thought he should have brought Yates and Jota Silva.
I felt we lost shape when Sangare went off. I thought we lost something in the middle.
I don't know.
Their subs made. They only started playing when their subs came on. Their subs seemed to give them a bit more impetus, a bit of aggression in the game. I felt when Gibbs-White and Sangare went off, we lost that spine. We did lose that shape a little bit, and I agree with it, Ben. I think he had them. Maybe I would have brought Jota and Yates on for.
That's what I thought.
Gibbs-White and Sangare.
Look, I don't know about the subs, and I'm not being rude. Like all that, it makes sense, but I don't really care about that for the point I'm going to make.
Make it.
The worry I had, and again, I said this to Ian at the game. It's too early. 2-0 is not the time to make subs. As so many subs, because when West Ham made 4, they were chasing the game. They had to do something.
Yeah.
It wasn't working. Potter thought, what the hell, end of the season, we've got to try something, get them players on. They came back into it. When Nuno made 3 on 81 minutes, I thought, it's too early. Pep, for whatever he is, never makes subs at 2-0. It's always 3-0. 2-0 is a dodgy score. We've been done on it so many times, and there was a famous one with Cooper and Luton at home.
Yeah.
You don't make subs at 2-0 because one goal, then all of a sudden your shape's gone. People are sort of resetting. You're seeing with Morato, it cost us.
Yeah.
Probably not quite as fresh as it should be, even though I kind of stuck up for him a bit early. But all these things, that ball in midfield gets played when no one's closing him down.
Mm.
And again, I might have been a bit too harsh on Sangare because he probably weren't on the pitch, but nobody was closing down because all of a sudden everybody's lost their jobs. We lost real shape. One or two, perhaps perhaps Yates for Sangare or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's what. No, that's what.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say, Des. Because if you bring Sangare off, you're bringing Yates on. If you bring on when Gibbs-White comes off, I thought you should have brought on Jota Silva in that 10 role.
But this is where this is not just a Nuno problem. This is where the game's gone mental. Because now substitutions dictate games so much. They're used for time wasting, not tactical. They're generally not used for tactical reasons. They're used to time waste, and when games, quite often when games get to 60, 70 minutes, it's game over when the subs come on. It's ridiculous because you don't make them at 2-0. But I have seen it a couple of times, and the way Forest play on the back foot, Nuno, I've used it in points so many times about Nuno. He said it before the Wolves game. We will always suffer the way we play. We're always going to get attacked because we don't play with the ball. So when teams are creative and dominate against us, so don't make subs, and like at critical times, and that was my real worry with it. And then when he scored that goal, I thought, oh my god,
me
because
too.
we knew. Like again, we can moan about the injury time all we want. There was reasons why there were 15 minutes, and quite justifiable, really, because there was about 6 or 7 for VAR.
Yeah.
And there was about 5
I'm not
minutes in
mentioning
injury
VAR on this
time.
show, Des. Come on, let's
Hey?
we're not talking about VAR. Wait, if we're talking about VAR, is this guy's fault? This guy's fault for VAR.
But yeah, I just think I just felt there was a little bit too early in the context of a game we have to win. I just felt we were comfortable until that point, relatively comfortable. They were giving it a bit of a go, and I think we should have just saw it out last sort of 3-4 minutes when it's real time wasting territory. Get them on in 3 blocks. Why did we do it in 2 blocks if we were time wasting? Why not take your 3 allocations if it's time wasting? So again, I think the problem with Nuno and subs is he don't like making them. I think Cooper was the same, wasn't he? Well, when he came, but it's part of the game now that these players come on, and I'd have felt much. Just again, you're right. Now I've thought about it, other than the timings of it, Yates and Jota would have been much more sensible coming into that type of game.
Definitely. Right, before we do go, like I said, we've got. I think it's the biggest game for the younger generation. It is. I think me and Steve witnessed the UEFA Cup and all that. It is the biggest game for Champions League, if you want to say. And I've seen this. I'm gonna put it up on the screen now. So this is all the things if people can see it. If we get Champions League, we've got to beat Chelsea. Newcastle got to lose to Everton. Villa got to lose to Man United. Blah blah blah. Then Europa, we've got to beat Chelsea. Europa League, we've got to draw to. People can see it as well. And get Steve's opinion about this. Like, just mentioned it. I'll start the show. Like I said, I really want to get Champions League. If we don't, we get Europa. If we don't, we get Europa Conference. In hindsight, I want Champions League. Like everyone else does. I'll try and we'll make it quick because we're going over our show. Steve, what's your opinion on everything? What's your main goal? Champions League, Europa. People in the chat as well, get involved. So what's your
first thing before anything else? Just beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then it's out of our hands. That's just beat Chelsea. I know we'd be looking at the scores coming through. We'd be glued to our phones and all that stuff. or like the old days when you got your radio stuck to
Yeah, ready.
your ear and stuff.
Dan
Remember them
Fletcher,
days?
Larry Lloyd.
Yeah. Beat Chelsea first. Let's get them out of the way. Let's really make Sunday the cauldron. Let's show these billionaires, what it's like to play in a cauldron. They're not going to like coming up to our place on Sunday. Them Chelsea players. Let's really, like Gibbs-White said before that Man United game a couple of seasons ago, when he said they don't want to be here. Make it a fortress, and then we just hope. Then we have to rely on. I hate to rely on other results, but we have to. And even though I don't want United to win on Wednesday, I'd rather see Spurs win it. Maybe United winning Wednesday will give them a bit of a lift going into their last game. Maybe on a bit of a high, and maybe they can take point. As long as we better Villa's result, so they either draw or lose, and we do our biz, then we're in. But realistically, I think Newcastle are in there. I think they'll beat Everton. City haven't got easy games, mind.
Yeah, who they got?
They got tough, Bournemouth and Fulham. They two tough games. We just have to rely on that Villa game. And I mean, if United lose on Wednesday, what do we expect from United at Old Trafford, and Villa be tails up going there? So, but I'll go full circle what I said in the beginning. We have to do the biz against Chelsea. If we lose or draw, end of the day, it's either conference or if we draw. And what happens if what happens if we draw and Villa lose? The interpretations are so we go above Villa, don't we? No, we got a better goal difference than Villa.
Yeah, but we'd still finish out of Champions League, wouldn't we?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because Chelsea will get in.
If Villa lose and we win, we go above.
No. Yeah, no. But if we draw Ben and Villa lose, then Villa drop out, don't they?
Yeah, but we drop. We still get conference. We're conference. We get Europa.
We get Europa.
Yeah,
no,
that's what I mean.
The fact of the matter
we got a better Villa's result.
The fact of the matter is, if every Forest fan goes into that game thinking the prize is the Europa League, nobody's going to come out of it.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, we would be disappointed, but if the prize is the Europa League, we know we win the football match, we're definitely guaranteed Europa League. It means that you don't win a football match and end up disappointed. But that's where people won't. They'll be too hell bent on what's going on elsewhere, and I think crowds don't win football matches. They can help the atmosphere and things like that. Ultimately, it's what's on the pitch. But you want a positive sort of environment to go at. I think Forest are better than Chelsea. Chelsea have been poor for a very, very long time. They beat Man United last week, and it was turgid. It was terrible. And we know how bad Man United are and how they concede, and they stuck one past them. So, and it's not just because they stuck one. Anything can happen in any given game, but they've been terrible for a while. So if Forest go and win that football match, we definitely guaranteed Europa League, which would have appeased some people from what they were saying last week, because we slipped so far and now we're in the Conference League. And then whatever comes from that's a bonus. If it happens, we'll all be bloody... We'll love it. But if Forest have just got to go out there, apply themselves, thinking, we get this, the permutations don't matter. There's various ways we can get into a Europa League anyway, but the best way to achieve it is to beat Chelsea. Definitely. It's that simple. I get the frustrations as well, because I can't help but think, if we didn't concede that goal to bloody Leicester, all we'd have to do is beat Chelsea. But again, they're saying we bottled it. We've lost form, we fell off. There's been numerous reasons for it. If we miss out, we're going to miss out by a bloody point. A Murillo mistake against Everton when we didn't play well. Is that fine? The margin in how we're going to miss out against all these superpowers. All Manchester City, Chelsea has spent billions and billions and cheated 115 times. And we're going to miss out by the odd point or two. And I think you just got to sort of remember that. And the fact that, like I said to you at the top of the show, yes, you want the best possible version of it, but we're going on the European tour. I'll take
Exactly.
that team who in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Who,
Oh my days. People like, I don't know if you've seen it. What are they called again? Santa Claus. In the middle of the ocean.
Bizarre.
People, get your brother super. Yo, he's sending me and Dad to, and all you Forest fans are going to Santa Claus or in the middle of the bloody ocean. Come on, man. Help us out, man. We're going in the middle.
That would be a trip. That would be a trip for Aussie Dave, wouldn't it?
Look there, I don't. People, wait, let me find it. People, it's a crazy trip, people. Crazy trip.
Can I just say, when looking at that, Ben, Des, with your point, right? I think what people are trying to get at though is, and I agree with you, right? Any form of European football is amazing, right? But I think what it is, when you looked at the table prior to these games, we fell off a bit. That's them.
That's them. People, look, imagine that. Imagine that. Santa Claus. Look, middle of the ocean. Look, unbelievable. Come on.
Yeah, it's because we had was it 8 or 9 points gap at one stage, and we had a cushion at the third spot. I think because we had the taste of it of Champions League. I think because we've fallen away. Now looking at on the other side of it, right? If we had put a run together and we hit 6th spot and we go into this game on Saturday and a free shot at Champions League, we'd be like, do you know what? If it doesn't come off, we're in Europa, so be it. It's because I think some fans, not all fans, but some fans are like, where we were to where we are now. I think it's why some people have thrown the word. I hate the word bottling it and all that. In this regard, anyway, because for me, any form of European football is a massive step up. Yes, we did drop off, but again, that's my personal opinion. We did have the squad. You know, we did hit a bit of bad form through fatigue, and the squad was being stretched through injuries and so on. But yeah, any form of European football is amazing. I mean, you can't knock it.
The thing is, Steve, I totally agree with that, and I totally agree of people being gutted. I'm gutted. You know, I got my trips planned out, where I want to go, who I want to get, and all these things. I'm as bloody hypothetical as everybody else, or I'm a dreamer about these kind of things. Do you know, I'm gutted that Forest has slipped off. I felt in the Leicester game, do you know, there was a bit of complacency. They thought it was too easy at times, and they took the foot off the gas, and ultimately it bit them on the arse. Do you know? So I get some of the frustration, but there's no need to lose you shit over it, because it don't achieve anything. Do you know the reason? I'm not just plugging my pre-match videos and the things I do on
Plug it,
Twitter.
Des. You've already plugged it anyway, so go and plug it
Well,
again.
no, but I said it, and I thought back and I thought, I'm glad I said that. Right, Forest, a season is 38 games. Forest haven't got the squad big enough and good enough to cope with a 38 game Premier League season. If it had finished after 30, you know, because we've got a first 11, been saying this all season. There is reasons. It's not bottling it. The reason is the squad's not big enough. The reason is we've had suspensions at the wrong time. The reason is we've had injuries to key positions. I've said it already. Take one of those back four out, and you're considerably weakening the team. People talk about Dominguez on the wing. Got no choice at times, because the players brought in as wingers haven't stood up to it. So there's contributing factors. We got some big results we weren't expected to get. When you look at it now, as gutted as I am, if I'm being realistic, do you know, we shouldn't have got those results at certain places just on form, not on the day. Like Liverpool, we deserve to win and all those kind of things. But had we not pulled them results off, we'd been nowhere near a Champions League place. So the reality was, when it came to a tough run of fixtures, particularly away fixtures, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Aston Villa, and again, the teams who are really going to sort of chase us down if they get the 6-pointers, you know, and you don't come through them particularly well. It's just the realism setting in of where we should be actually in the league table. Don't matter if we were third for 6 months. because the season didn't finish at that point. It matters where you are after 38 games. And what sort of dawned on me is the fact that we haven't got the squad big enough to cope with it. I like the idea, Nuno's idealism of having an 18-man squad and keeping everyone happy and all those kind of things. But again, football's moving with the times, and my opinions have to, and mainly because of what I've seen this season. There's a lot of this. We've run out of steam. We've done this. I get it to some degree, but we've run out of steam because of injuries. We haven't run out of steam because of attitude, because of form, because they didn't want it, all these kind of things. We've run out because the injuries and the players coming in can't back it up. It's as simple as that. And the FA Cup semi-final shown it to some degree. Yes, there was a baffling decision, but that's what Nuno does at Anfield. He didn't play Hudson-Odoi or Elanga. We won the game. If it works, he's a master. Like you made the point right at the top of the show, Steve. And if it works, it works. And sometimes he does different things and it doesn't work, and that's when he gets hammered. I tell you what, and I made this point on Twitter after the Leicester game, I'd rather have Nuno than one of these super managers, super coaches like Postecoglou or Amorim, who refuse to change and get battered every week. Be careful what you wish for sometimes, and that's why I've kind of appeased myself in my frustration after the Leicester game and being gutted about not getting Champions League, and just thinking, well, it kind of makes sense now. Always tough games to go to. Newcastle, we nearly got something in the end. Aston Villa, we should have got something in the end. Everton, we should have got naff, we nearly got a point. And yes, sort of thinking, God, but all those things would have done at that point was paper over the cracks. They would have papered over some of the fact that we're not actually good enough to at the Champions League, because it's happening again and again at the minute. When from the Bournemouth game, we went through this patch of conceding goals very close together over a couple of games. But if we'd have got through that Newcastle game, Nick won in the Newcastle game and Nick won in the Villa game, would have probably papered over that. And everybody's still thinking, oh, well, we should have done this. And again, I'm not just trying to be a happy clapper, but it wouldn't have bode well going into the Champions League. Look, if we still get it, I take it, and we'll take the whatever comes our way. But it just shows we're not ready for that level of opposition, and we have to be happy of how far we've come, even if there's a tinge of disappointment in how far we could have gone.
100%. Right, we've gone way over the 100-hour mark, because I think it's been a great show, everyone. So if you can, do a massive favor for me. Please do hit the like button if you can. Subscribe to me. Make sure everyone follows Des on his Instagram channel, Instagram as well, please. Like I said, Steve's not on Instagram, Steve. So Steve, if you can, do me a favor. You get an Instagram account if you can. So can you do that for me, Steve?
You could use that name that you had on at the start, Steve.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, if you can, yeah. If you can, Steve, just I'm not getting involved. I'm not guilty.
I'm that person in question. He could answer that question. Where were you in 2005? But that's
Right, people, we're going to get going. Thank you for Des, to Steve, and everyone who's watching this. Thank you for everyone in super chats. All the super chats, that's going towards Des's drink for London. So, but yeah, shout out to everyone who did the super chats. It helps my channel a lot. I'm excited. I think everyone's excited because we are in Europe. Champions League football, here in Champions League football conference. I don't care. We're in Europe. But yeah,
Can I just say one thing, Ben? Obviously, I won't be there Sunday, but Sunday's atmosphere will be up there with that game against Arsenal when we stayed up.
And you know what, Steve, you can keep you can be the guy to remind us of the results as well. So yeah, if you can, Alan,
I'm just saying the atmosphere Sunday will be electric.
Yeah, and Alan, if you're watching, you can be my Fulham, because we need Fulham to beat Man City. So Alan, if you're watching, do us a favour, you can be there. Actually, we'll see you Wednesday anyway, Alan. So
I take back all the bad things I've ever said about Man United just for 90 minutes on Sunday, right?
who is it? Is it Man U, Everton, and Fulham? They're the teams. We've just got to win. We've just got to win. That's all it matters. We've just got to win. That's all it matters. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, people. If you are rewatching the show, if you disagree with everything that Des says, please do. If you ever agree that Steve says, do as well. Pete says, thank you, Pete. Todd, great stream. If it wasn't for Des, if it wasn't for Steve, we wouldn't be having this show. But watch out. I'm doing a previous show with Don as well. He's a fantastic Chelsea fan. So I'm doing that Friday. Watch out for that. Des, anything coming on your Instagram? You like to do your after game preview shows? Anything going on?
No, just grateful for the support with that, because I do get some flack, but then we all do. We put ourselves out there. We're stupid enough to do it, aren't we? And I just appreciate another season. It's not without rough edges, put it that way. But I love doing it, and I'm not going to do it. So if anyone would follow me on that Twitter handle, then I would appreciate it.
As well, Kay, if you're watching this, if Des doing anything stupid, just take his phone off. Look at that. That'd be a great hope as well on Des. But yeah, Des is going to follow Des on Twitter. But yeah, it's been a great show, people. You know what? Imagine Des, you doing your after game reactions in where Santa Claus.
But this is it. You're joking.
Awesome.
But again, as a football fan, this was where the penny dropped. Imagine being in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean,
in the sea, like the Titanic. This is Des Oldham from Santa Claus.
You'd be holding on to me.
I pause. Let's just calm down. I don't want to be holding on to you.
But the crazy thing about Forest fans is they're all moaning, and they'll all be there. They'll all be wanting to be there.
Exactly.
All these people.
Exactly.
They won't remember what they said, which is fine. We all move forward, but it just makes me laugh. One thing we've not mentioned, and I want to say, because it was brilliant for everything, and this is what created my little spat on Twitter with one or two people having a go at me. Everybody lost the shit because of Crystal Palace, but I don't want to be cheesy and an old man and an old fogey, but
you're our old Des.
What a day for football, watching Crystal Palace win the FA Cup.
100%. Well done.
That's why I felt so strongly about it, because I thought, do you know what? There was a bit of all of us thinking, if they get beat, we get Europa, blah, blah, blah. But we can't control those things. And when you saw the final whistle and what it meant to those fans and how much crap they've been through, they've probably been through a lot worse than we have. And they sit and watch 12th in the Premier League every season. That's not exciting.
I don't know if everyone's seen it on TalkSport. I was listening to a Palace fan for that was emotional from that, and that's why as well. And before we do, we've not even mentioned it. Tawe Wani, I hope you do get better. I know your brother watches this, so shout out to Tawe Wani's brother. I seen him at Crystal Palace away, and we said that we spoke a little bit. So, but shout out to, I hope Tawe Wani recovers as soon as possible, and hopefully we see him on Sunday as well.
Sorry, there was a bit of a scary moment in the game yesterday, wasn't it? Bowen collided with the post.
Yeah, he did.
And Morato and Aina, to be fair to him, was straight over after obviously what happened last week, and they were straight on him. So fair play as well. It was it was a bit of a spooky coincidence that happened after last week as well. I thought Bowen was literally concussed. I thought, bit of a scary coincidence that one.
But right, people, thank you everyone. Thank you again, Des. Thank you for Steve. We've done like a bloody hour and 30 minutes. It's been a great show, people. So if you can help me a lot, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We'll see you. I'll see you again. I'm bringing loads of content as well. Make sure you follow me. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We are close, people, to the Champions League football. Keep faith, keep hope. Up the bloody Forest.